He destroyed her in front of his entire court with 6 words that still tasted like poison on his tongue. She knelt in her wedding gown as the vampire king declared she would never be his true wife. His words were meant to destroy her. He had no idea she would become the one thing his immortal heart could never forget. Rosalind pressed her forehead against the cold window of the black SUV, watching the Virginia mountains blur past like watercolors left in the rain. 48 hours ago, she had been finishing her shift at St. Catherine Hospice in Richmond, holding the hand of a dying woman who had no one else. Now her own hand trembled against the glass, her grandmother's silver ring catching the fading sunlight. She did not choose this dress. She did not choose this day. Her father had chosen for her 23 years ago when he borrowed blood money from creatures he should have feared, and now the debt had come due. She was the payment. The driver had not spoken a single word in 6 hours. Neither had she. What was there to say? She was a lamb being delivered to wolves. Meanwhile, 300 miles away, Caspian Valdris stood before his throne room fireplace, flames dancing shadows across his angular face and long white hair that cascaded past his shoulders like frozen silk. He swirled a crystal glass of crimson liquid, his pale eyes fixed on the trembling vampire kneeling before him. The accused had stolen from Caspian's younger sister, Seraphine, a necklace. A simple ruby pendant their mother had worn before she was taken from them 4 centuries ago. Caspian smiled. It was not a kind smile. You thought stealing from my family would go unnoticed, he said, his voice a velvet blade. Tell me, how many generations does your bloodline extend? 3? 4? He chuckled softly. I have time. I will visit them all. The vampire sobbed, begging for mercy. Caspian finished his drink. Mercy is a privilege. You are not privileged. He gestured once. His guards dragged the thief away. Only then did his steward approach, bowing low. My lord, your bride arrives within the hour. Caspian did not turn from the fire. The human debt payment. How delightfully tedious. Shall I prepare the great hall for a proper welcome? Caspian laughed, cold and sharp. She is not a guest. She is a receipt. Put her in the east wing and keep her out of my sight. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. Before I continue, I have to ask you something important. If you are watching this right now, you are clearly someone who appreciates deep, emotional vampire love stories, and that makes you part of something special. You are not just a viewer. You are part of the fastest growing vampire romance community on this platform, and I am so grateful you are here. Do me a small favor. Drop a comment right now telling me where you are watching from. I genuinely want to know what city, what country, what corner of the world is enjoying this story with me tonight. And if you have not subscribed yet, come on, do not be a stranger. 1 click. That is all it takes to join this family. Now here is a question for you. If someone told you that you would never be enough, would you fight to prove them wrong, or would you walk away? Hold that thought. Let me continue. The estate was a fortress of black stone and endless corridors. Rosalind was led through hallways lined with portraits of pale, beautiful faces that seemed to watch her with ancient judgment. She clutched her small suitcase, her only possession from her old life, and tried to calm the hammering of her heart. They brought her to the great hall where the entire vampire court had gathered. Hundreds of immortal eyes turned toward her. She froze. Then the massive double doors at the far end exploded open. Caspian Valdris entered like a storm-given form. His white hair flowed behind him as he moved, his long black coat trailing like wings. The crowd parted without him saying a word. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Every vampire bowed their head. Even the candles flickered as if the flames themselves feared him. Rosalind could not breathe. He was terrifying. He was beautiful. He was something from nightmares and forbidden dreams. Caspian stopped 10 feet from her, his pale eyes scanning her from head to toe. His lip curled ever so slightly. So, this is the debt made flesh, he said, his voice echoing through the hall. His sister Seraphine, a stunning vampire with dark curls, stood beside the throne. Brother, Perhaps we should speak privately before. No. Caspian raised one hand, silencing her. He stepped closer to Rosalind, circling her slowly like a predator assessing prey. She trembled but did not move. He leaned in close, his breath cold against her ear. Hear me clearly, little human. You may wear a ring. You may carry my name. But you will never be my true wife. You are a political transaction. A piece of paper signed and filed away. Do not mistake necessity for affection. The words landed like physical blows. Rosalind felt her knees weaken, but she locked them. She would not fall. Not here. Not in front of them all. She lifted her chin, meeting his gaze even as tears burned behind her eyes. Understood, my lord. Her voice did not break. That small victory was hers alone. Caspian smiled, cold and dismissive, then turned to his court. Let it be known. The debt is paid. Now leave us. The hall emptied in seconds. Only Rosalind remained, standing in her simple dress, holding a suitcase, her heart shattered before the marriage had even begun. Rosalind was given a room in the East Wing, far from the family quarters. It was beautiful in a cold, lifeless way. Marble floors. Velvet curtains. A bed large enough for 4 people. And no warmth anywhere. She sat on the edge of the bed and let herself cry. Not loud, wailing sobs. Just silent tears that slid down her cheeks and dripped onto her hands. She had known this would not be a love story. But she had not expected cruelty. Meanwhile, Caspian sat in his study, pouring himself another drink. Seraphine entered without knocking, her arms crossed. That was unnecessary, she said flatly. Caspian did not look up from his book. It was clarity. She needed to understand her place. Her place? Brother, she is terrified. She is alone. You humiliated her in front of the entire court. She is human. She will adjust or she will not. Either way, it does not concern me. Seraphine sighed, her expression softening with something close to pity. You have not been this cruel since Isolde. Caspian's hand tightened around his glass. The name was a wound he never allowed anyone to touch. Do not speak that name. She is not Isolde. She did not choose to come here. She was sold, Caspian. Sold by her own family. Then she should have run. Where? To whom? You know her father's debts extended beyond money. There is nowhere for her to go. Caspian finally looked up, his pale eyes hard as diamonds. Then she will stay. Quietly. Out of my way. That is all I require. Seraphine studied her brother for a long moment. You are afraid. I am a king. I do not fear anything. You are afraid of her. Of what she might become to you. Caspian stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the floor. Get out. Seraphine left, shaking her head. Alone again, Caspian stared into the fire. He told himself he felt nothing. He had to feel nothing. Feeling was weakness, and weakness invited betrayal. He had learned that lesson in blood. 3 days passed. Rosalind barely saw Caspian. She wandered the estate like a ghost, eating meals alone, sleeping in that cold, beautiful room, wondering what her life had become. On the 4th morning, Seraphine found her in the library. You read, Seraphine observed, sitting across from her. Rosalind closed the book quickly. I am sorry, I did not know if I was allowed to. Relax. You are allowed. Seraphine smiled gently. I am Seraphine. Caspian's sister. I apologize for not introducing myself properly before. Rosalind. I know. Seraphine tilted her head. You were a hospice nurse. Rosalind blinked in surprise. How did you? I make it my business to know who enters this family. You spent 4 years caring for the dying. That takes a rare kind of strength. Rosalind looked down at her hands. It takes compassion, not strength. They are the same thing. Before Rosalind could respond, alarms erupted throughout the estate. Loud, piercing, relentless. Seraphine stood instantly, her entire demeanor shifting. Stay here. Do not leave this room. What is happening? Intruders. Seraphine vanished in a blur of speed. Rosalind sat frozen for 10 seconds. Then she heard a child screaming. Her body moved before her mind caught up. She ran toward the sound, her nursing instincts overriding her fear. She found herself in the family wing, following the cries until she reached a nursery. A vampire child, no more than 6 years old in appearance, sat crying beside a shattered window. Blood dripped from a gash on her arm. Rosalind knelt beside her. Hey, sweetheart, it is okay. Let me see. The child looked at her with wide, terrified eyes. Who are you? I am Rosalind. I am going to help you, all right? She tore a strip from her sleeve and wrapped the wound, applying pressure. The child whimpered but did not pull away. What is your name? Celeste, no, I mean, Dahlia. Rosalind smiled softly. Hi, Dahlia. You are very brave. The door burst open. Caspian stood in the doorway, covered in blood that was not his own, his eyes wild and lethal. Then he saw Rosalind kneeling beside Dahlia, and everything stopped. Caspian crossed the room in 2 strides, dropping to his knees beside Dahlia. His hands, still stained with the blood of whoever had dared attack his home, gently cupped the child's face. Are you hurt anywhere else, little one? Dahlia shook her head, tears streaming. I was scared, Uncle Caspian. The window broke and... Shoo. You are safe now. He kissed her forehead, then his eyes shifted to Rosalind. The fury drained from his expression, replaced by something unreadable. You helped her. It was not a question. She was bleeding, Rosalind said simply, still applying pressure to the makeshift bandage. I heard her crying. I told you to stay in the East Wing. I am a nurse. When I hear a child in pain, I do not stay anywhere. Something flickered in Caspian's eyes. Surprise, perhaps. Or recognition. Seraphine appeared in the doorway, breathless. The intruders are dead. They were mercenaries, hired by the Corvain family. They were after Dahlia. Caspian's expression turned to stone. Retaliation. For what you did to their nephew last month, yes. He stood slowly, his jaw clenched so tightly Rosalind could see the muscle twitch. They sent humans with wolfsbane grenades into my home. They targeted a child. Brother. I want the entire Corvain line found. Every single one. Caspian, that is 3 generations. Did I stutter, Seraphine? The temperature dropped. Seraphine bowed her head. It will be done. Rosalind watched this exchange, her heart pounding. This was the man the vampire world feared. Ruthless. Unforgiving. A king who did not make idle threats. But then Dahlia reached for him, and he softened instantly, lifting her into his arms. Uncle Caspian, the nice lady helped me. She made it stop hurting. Caspian looked at Rosalind over Dahlia's head. Thank you. 2 words. Quiet. Sincere. Rosalind nodded, not trusting her voice. Later that night, after Dahlia had been treated by the estate physician and put to bed, Rosalind returned to her room. She was exhausted, her hands still shaking from adrenaline. A knock came at her door. She opened it to find Caspian standing in the hallway, no longer covered in blood. He had changed into a simple black shirt, his white hair pulled back. He looked almost human. Almost. May I come in? Rosalind stepped aside, too shocked to refuse. He entered slowly, his eyes scanning the room as if seeing it for the first time. This room is terrible. It is fine. It is cold. Impersonal. You have been here 4 days and have not even unpacked. Rosalind crossed her arms. I was not sure I was staying. Caspian turned to face her. Dahlia is my niece. My youngest brother's only child. He and his wife were killed by hunters 7 years ago. She is all I have left of him. Rosalind's breath caught. I am so sorry. When Seraphine told me there were intruders near the family wing, I thought. He stopped, his composure cracking for just a moment. I thought I would find her dead. But you did not. No. I found you. He stepped closer. You could have hidden. You could have run. Instead, you ran toward danger to help a vampire child you did not even know. She was hurt. Nothing else mattered. Caspian studied her face as if seeing her clearly for the first time. 800 years ago, I loved someone. Her name was Isolde. She was beautiful, clever, and I trusted her completely. His voice went cold. She tried to poison Seraphine to eliminate competition for my attention. She nearly succeeded. Rosalind covered her mouth. Oh my God. I have not allowed anyone close since. Not to me. Not to my family. Trust is a luxury I cannot afford. He paused. Until tonight, I believed all outsiders were threats. You are making me question that belief, and I do not enjoy being wrong. I am not her, Rosalind whispered. I know. He reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away, and touched the torn sleeve she had ripped to bandage Dahlia. But knowing and believing are different things. For a moment, they simply stood there, the space between them charged with something neither could name. Then Caspian stepped back. Good night, Rosalind. He left before she could respond. Rosalind sank onto her bed, her mind spinning. She had seen past the cruelty tonight. Past the cold king. She had seen a man who loved his family so fiercely that losing them was his greatest fear. And she realized with startling clarity that she wanted to see more. The next morning, Rosalind woke to find her belongings had been moved. Not far, just to a different room in the West Wing, closer to the family quarters. This room had warmth. Soft rugs. A window overlooking gardens that somehow still bloomed despite the autumn chill. A note lay on the dresser in elegant handwriting. You should be closer. In case Dahlia needs you. See. Rosalind smiled despite herself. Over the following week, everything shifted. Caspian did not apologize for his cruelty at their first meeting. That was not his way. Instead, he showed her the estate, introduced her properly to his family, and included her at meals. He was still sharp-tongued and commanding, but now there were moments of dry humor that caught her off guard. One evening, he found her in the kitchen attempting to make coffee using an espresso machine that looked like it belonged in a spaceship. That is a $15,000 long Marzocco imported from Seattle, Caspian said, leaning against the doorway. And you are murdering it. Rosalind jumped, nearly dropping the portafilter. I just wanted coffee. Clearly. He crossed to her, gently taking the equipment from her hands. Allow me. She watched as his elegant, deadly hands moved with surprising skill, tamping grounds, locking the portafilter, pulling the perfect shot. You know how to make coffee? I have lived 8 centuries. I have learned many things. He handed her a tiny cup of rich, dark espresso. I spent a decade in Italy during the Renaissance. Coffee was an art form. Rosalind sipped. It was perfect. This is incredible. I know. He made one for himself. You were a hospice nurse in Richmond. You have been asking about me. I make it my business to know who lives under my roof. He met her eyes. Why that job? It must have been difficult. Rosalind set down her cup. My mother died when I was 16. Cancer. It was slow and painful, and at the end, she was in a hospice. The nurses there were so kind to her. To me. They made her final days bearable. She swallowed hard. I wanted to be that for other people. Caspian was quiet for a long moment. That is a beautiful reason. What about you? Why does a vampire king know how to make espresso? He smiled, a real smile that transformed his entire face. Because immortality is boring without hobbies. She laughed. Actually laughed. The sound surprised them both. You should do that more, Caspian said softly. What? Laugh. It suits you. Before she could respond, Dahlia ran into the kitchen, her face bright. Rosalind. Will you read to me before bed? Of course, sweetheart. Dahlia grabbed her hand, then paused and grabbed Caspian's too. Uncle Caspian, you come too. He raised an eyebrow. I do not do bedtime stories. Please? He sighed dramatically. I am a fearsome vampire king. My reputation will be ruined. Please? Fine. But I am choosing the book. They ended up in Dahlia's room, Rosalind and Caspian sitting on either side of the small girl. Caspian read from a leather-bound collection of fairy tales, his deep voice turning the words into magic. Dahlia fell asleep halfway through, her head on Rosalind's shoulder. Caspian closed the book quietly. She trusts you completely. She is easy to love. So are you. The words hung in the air. Rosalind looked up, her heart hammering. Caspian was watching her with an expression that made her feel seen in a way she had never experienced before. Caspian. I was wrong, he said quietly. What I said to you that first night. You are not a transaction. You are, he stopped, struggling. You are something I did not know I needed. Rosalind felt tears prick her eyes. I think I am falling for you. I know. I am falling too. It terrifies me. He reached across Dahlia's sleeping form and took Rosalind's hand. For the first time since arriving, Rosalind felt like she was home. Here is something I want to ask you. Have you ever started to trust someone just when you were finally letting your guard down? Drop a comment and let me know, because what happens next is going to break your heart. 2 weeks passed like a dream. Caspian courted Rosalind in his own way. Long walks through the estate grounds. Quiet conversations by the fireplace. Stolen glances across the dinner table that made Seraphine smirk knowingly. Rosalind had never been happier. She should have known it could not last. It started with a letter. Rosalind found it slipped under her door one morning, written in shaky handwriting she recognized instantly. Her younger sister, Grace. Rosalind, please. Dad is sick. Really sick. The doctors say he has maybe 2 weeks. He is asking for you. I know what he did was unforgivable, but he is still our father. Please come home. Even just for an hour. I am begging you. Grace. Rosalind's hands shook as she read it 3 times. Her father had sold her. Traded her like property to settle his debts. She should have felt nothing but rage. But all she felt was the memory of being 7 years old, her father pushing her on a swing, laughing. She found Seraphine in the music room. I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Am I a prisoner here? Seraphine looked up from the piano, surprised. Of course not. Why would you ask that? So I can leave if I want to? Seraphine's expression grew cautious. You can. But Caspian would need to know. For security reasons. What is going on? Rosalind explained about the letter. Seraphine's face darkened. Rosalind, your father made a blood pact with this family. If you go back, even for a visit, it could be interpreted as you breaking the terms of the agreement. There could be consequences. What kind of consequences? For him? Severe. The debt would be reinstated with interest. For you? Caspian would see it as you choosing your old life over this one. Over him. But my father is dying. I know. And I am truly sorry." Seraphine reached for her hand. "Talk to Caspian. Explain. He is not unreasonable when it comes to you." But when Rosalind went to find Caspian, he was locked in meetings all day with his counsel, dealing with the fallout from the Corvain situation. She waited and waited. By evening, panic clawed at her chest. 2 weeks, the letter said. What if she was too late? She made a choice. She left a note for Caspian explaining everything, asked one of the human staff to call her a car, and slipped out at dusk. She told herself she would be back in 3 hours. 4 at most. She had no idea she was walking into a trap. The car dropped her at her childhood home in Richmond. The lights were on. She knocked, her heart in her throat. Grace opened the door. But her expression was not relieved. It was terrified. "Grace, what?" Her sister's eyes filled with tears. "I am so sorry. They made me write it. They said they would kill Dad if I did not." Rosalind's blood turned to ice. "Who made you?" Hands grabbed her from behind. A cloth pressed over her mouth and nose, chemical and sickly sweet. She struggled, but the world blurred and darkened. The last thing she heard was Grace screaming her name. She woke in a basement, her head pounding, her wrists zip-tied to a metal chair. 3 men stood around her. Vampires. Their eyes gleamed with malice. The one in front smiled. "The Corvain family sends their regards." Rosalind's stomach dropped. "What do you want?" "Leverage. Caspian Valdris took everything from us. Now we will take something from him." He leaned close. "Do not worry. We are not going to kill you. We are just going to make sure he knows exactly where you went, why you left, and who you ran to." "I did not run to anyone. My sister." "Your sister wrote exactly what we told her to write. And you fell for it beautifully." He pulled out a phone. "Smile for the camera." They took photos of her. Recorded a video of her tied up, crying. Then they sent everything to Caspian with a fabricated message made to look like she had conspired with them, that she had been a plant all along, sent to infiltrate his family and report back on their weaknesses. "He will never believe that," Rosalind said, but her voice shook. "Will he not? He trusted a woman once before. Isolde, was it? That went well." The vampire laughed. "Men like Caspian do not make the same mistake twice." For hours later, the basement door exploded off its hinges. Caspian stood in the doorway, and Rosalind had never seen anything more terrifying. His eyes burned crimson. His fangs fully extended. Blood splattered his white hair and clothes. Behind him lay the bodies of a dozen vampires. He crossed to Rosalind in a blur, snapping her restraints like paper. "Are you hurt?" "No, Caspian, listen to me, they set me up. They made my sister." "I know." His voice was flat. Cold. "I killed the ones responsible. All of them." Relief flooded her. "Thank God. I was so scared you would think that you betrayed me." He stepped back, his expression unreadable. "The thought crossed my mind." Her heart sank. "But you know I did not. You know I would never." "What I know," Caspian said quietly, each word precise and cutting, "is that you left without telling me. You snuck out of my home like a thief. You walked into an obvious trap and put yourself at risk. I left you a note." "A note?" He laughed bitterly. "You left me a note and walked into enemy territory during an active blood feud. Do you have any idea what they could have done to you? What they would have done if I had arrived 10 minutes later?" Tears streamed down Rosalind's face. "My father was dying. My sister begged me. I thought I could." "You thought?" Caspian's composure finally cracked. "You did not think, Rosalind. You acted on emotion and sentiment and nearly got yourself killed. Just like Dahlia nearly died because I let my guard down. Just like Seraphine nearly died because I trusted the wrong person. I am not Isolde. No. You are worse. His eyes met hers, and they were empty. Isolde was malicious. You are reckless. At least malice I can predict. Your kindness, your bleeding heart, your need to save everyone? That will get you killed. It will get my family killed. The words landed like blows. Caspian, please. I opened my home to you. My heart to you. And the first moment things became difficult, you ran back to the family that sold you. He turned away. I will have you escorted back to the estate to collect your things. Effective immediately, the marriage contract is void. You are free to go. Rosalind felt her world shatter. You are casting me out. I am releasing you. Is that not what you wanted? No. I want you. I want us. I made a mistake, but I was trying to. I do not care what you were trying to do. I care about results. And the result is that I cannot trust you. He looked at her one last time. Goodbye, Rosalind. He left her standing in that basement, broken and alone. 2 of his guards appeared to escort her out. They were not unkind, but they were firm. She was driven back to the estate, allowed to pack her single suitcase, and driven to a hotel in Richmond that had been paid for a month in advance. Seraphine tried to see her before she left, but Caspian forbade it. Dahlia cried and asked where Rosalind was going, but no one had an answer that would not break the child's heart further. And Caspian locked himself in his study with a bottle of whiskey and the memory of Rosalind's face as he destroyed her. He told himself he had done the right thing. He told himself it was necessary. He told himself he felt nothing. He was lying. 3 weeks passed. Rosalind existed in a fog. She returned to her small apartment, the one she had left behind when her father's debts came due. She tried to go back to work at the hospice, but her hands shook too badly. Her supervisor gently suggested she take more time. Grace visited, sobbing apologies. Rosalind forgave her. It was not Grace's fault. Their father was indeed dying. Rosalind sat with him in his final days. He apologized through labored breaths for selling her, for his debts, for his failures. She forgave him too. But forgiveness did not erase the pain. At night, she lay awake remembering the feel of Caspian's hand in hers. The sound of his laugh. The way he softened when Dahlia called him uncle. She had ruined everything. Meanwhile, Caspian was a terror. His counsel walked on eggshells. Seraphine stopped trying to talk to him after he snapped at her for the 5th time. Even Dahlia kept her distance, frightened by his cold moods. He threw himself into work. Expanded territories. Negotiated treaties. Destroyed 3 rival families who dared challenge his authority. But every night, he stood outside the room that had been Rosalind's and stared at the door. Seraphine found him there one evening. This is pathetic. Leave me alone. No. You are being a coward. Caspian whirled on her. Excuse me? You heard me. You are 800 years old, one of the most powerful vampires in existence, and you are hiding from your feelings like a child. Seraphine crossed her arms. She made a mistake. One mistake. She was trying to see her dying father. She put herself at risk. Because she has a heart. Because she is human and messy and imperfect. That is what you fell in love with. I am not in love with her. Brother, you have been miserable every single day since she left. You wake up angry. You go to bed angry. Dahlia asked me yesterday if you stopped loving us because you seem so far away. Seraphine's voice softened. Rosalind was good for you. She made you smile. She made you human. I am not human. No. But you are not a monster either. Stop acting like one. She left him standing there. That night, Caspian made a choice. He would go to Rosalind. He would apologize. He would bring her home. He arrived at her apartment at midnight, rehearsing words he had never said to anyone. He knocked. She opened the door in pajamas, her eyes red from crying. When she saw him, she froze. "Caspian. I was wrong." The words came out rough, unpracticed. "I was cruel and unfair, and I—" "Stop." She held up a hand. "You cannot do this." He blinked, thrown. "I am trying to apologize." "I know. And 3 weeks ago, I would have fallen into your arms and forgiven you instantly." Her voice shook but held firm. "But I have had 3 weeks to think. To process. To realize something important." "What?" "You do not trust me." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "You said you were falling for me. You let me into your home, your family, your life. But the first moment things went wrong, you threw me away. You did not ask for my side. You did not give me a chance to explain. You just decided I was guilty and cast me out. I was protecting my family. No. You were protecting yourself." She wiped her eyes. "I understand why. Isolde hurt you. Hurt Seraphine. But I am not her, and I cannot spend my life proving that to you over and over again. I cannot live waiting for the next mistake that will make you stop loving me." Caspian felt panic rising. "Rosalind, please. I love you." The words were a confession and a goodbye. "I love you so much it hurts. But I cannot be with someone who will never fully trust me. You will always have one foot out the door, ready to run the moment I am not perfect. I do not need you to be perfect." "Yes, you do. You need me to be incapable of hurting you. And I cannot be that. I am human. I will make mistakes." Caspian stood there, his immortal composure crumbling. "What do you want from me?" "I want you to go home and decide if you can actually love me. All of me. Including my flaws, my recklessness, my bleeding heart." She stepped back. "If you can, come back. But if you cannot, please do not come here again. I cannot survive you breaking my heart twice." She closed the door. Caspian stood in the hallway, staring at the wooden barrier between them. For the first time in 800 years, the Vampire King did not know what to do. He returned to the estate hollow and lost. Seraphine found him in his study at dawn. "Did you fix it?" "I made it worse." He told her everything. When he finished, Seraphine was quiet for a long moment. "She is right, you know. You do need to decide." She sat beside him. "Brother, you have spent centuries protecting yourself. Building walls. Keeping everyone at a distance except family. And it worked. You survived. But is that really living?" Caspian closed his eyes. "I do not know how to be what she needs." "Yes, you do. You just have to be brave enough to try." The next morning, Caspian made a different choice. He did not go to Rosalind. Instead, he started dismantling his walls. 4 weeks passed. Caspian did not go to Rosalind's apartment. He did not send letters or gifts or messengers. Instead, he changed. He started attending therapy. Yes, vampire therapy existed, a centuries-old practitioner who specialized in immortal trauma. It was humbling. It was painful. It was necessary. He worked through his fear of betrayal, his need for control, his inability to forgive imperfection in others because he had never forgiven it in himself. He sat with Dahlia every night and read her stories, relearning tenderness. He apologized to Seraphine for 800 years of emotional distance. He visited Rosalind's father's grave and left flowers, understanding for the first time that desperation makes people do terrible things, and that did not make them irredeemable. And when he finally felt ready, when he finally believed he could be the man Rosalind deserved, he went to her. It was a Saturday afternoon. Rosalind was at the farmer's market in Richmond, buying flowers for her apartment. She had started rebuilding her life. Slowly. Painfully. But she was trying. Then she heard the whispers. People stopped walking. Phones came out. A crowd began to form. Rosalind turned. Caspian stood in the center of the market, his white hair catching the sunlight like a beacon. He wore simple clothes, no coat, no grandiosity. Just a man, vulnerable and exposed. But the air around him still hummed with power. He saw her and everything else disappeared. He walked toward her slowly, and the crowd parted like water. When he reached her, he did something no one had ever seen the Vampire King do. He knelt. Right there, in the middle of the Richmond farmer's market, in front of hundreds of people with their phones out, Caspian Valdris knelt before Rosalind. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Rosalind's flowers fell from her hands. "Caspian, what are you doing?" "What I should have done the first time." His voice carried, clear and unwavering. "You asked me to decide if I could love all of you. Your flaws, your recklessness, your beautiful, bleeding heart." Tears filled her eyes. "And? I can. I do. I love every imperfect, messy, human part of you." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a ring. Not the cold, political band he had given her before. This was different. A deep red ruby surrounded by diamonds, set in white gold. "This belonged to my mother. It is the most precious thing I own." Rosalind covered her mouth. "I spent 4 weeks learning how to be worthy of you," Caspian continued. "I cannot promise I will be perfect. I cannot promise I will never be afraid. But I can promise that I will never walk away again. I will fight for you, for us, every single day for the rest of your life and long after." "Caspian. I was wrong." His voice cracked, raw with emotion. "I told you that you would never be my true wife. That was the cruelest lie I have ever spoken. The truth is, you are the only wife I have ever wanted. The only woman I have loved in 800 years. The only person who makes me want to be better." He held up the ring. "Rosalind, will you marry me? Not because of a debt. Not because of obligation. But because I love you more than I thought this dead heart could ever love anyone." The market was dead silent. Rosalind dropped to her knees in front of him, tears streaming down her face. "You hurt me. I know. You broke my heart. I know. And I will spend eternity making up for it if you let me." She searched his face, looking for doubt, for hesitation. She found none. "Ask me again." Caspian's breath caught. "Will you marry me?" "Yes." The word had barely left her lips before he pulled her into his arms, kissing her like she was oxygen and he had been drowning. The crowd erupted in applause and cheers, but neither of them heard it. When they finally pulled apart, Caspian slipped the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. "I have one more thing to ask," he said, helping her to her feet. "What?" "Come home. Not to the East Wing. Not as a guest. As my wife. As Dahlia's aunt. As part of the family." Rosalind laughed through her tears. "I thought you would never ask. Also, Dahlia has been inconsolable without you. Seraphine threatened to stake me twice. The staff keeps asking when you are coming back. And he cupped her face gently. I have not slept since you left. Every room feels empty. Every moment feels wrong without you. You are very dramatic for an 800-year-old vampire. You have no idea." He grinned, that devastating smile that made her fall in love with him in the first place. "Wait until you see what I planned for the actual wedding. I bought a vineyard in Napa Valley. Flew in an Italian chef. Hired a string quartet that performed at Carnegie Hall. Oh, and I may have compelled the governor to officiate." Rosalind's eyes went wide. "Caspian. Too much? Absolutely too much. Should I cancel it?" She pretended to think about it. No. But I am picking the flowers. Deal. He kissed her again, softer this time, full of promise. Behind them, someone in the crowd shouted, "Get it, Vampire King?" Caspian pulled back and shot a withering look at the crowd. Do you people not have lives? They laughed and slowly dispersed. The phone cameras kept rolling. Rosalind took his hand. Take me home. Always. 3 months later, they married again. This time, there was no political maneuvering. No debt. No cruelty. Just love. Dahlia was the flower girl and took her job so seriously she made Caspian cry. Seraphine gave a toast that roasted her brother mercilessly and made everyone laugh. And when Caspian and Rosalind stood before their family and friends, he did not declare her unworthy. Instead, he said, "You are my true wife. My only wife. My forever." Rosalind whispered back, "And you are my home." They danced under Italian string lights at the Napa vineyard, surrounded by people who loved them. And for the first time in 800 years, Caspian Valdris believed in happily ever after. Because he had finally found his. Years later, when people asked Rosalind what changed Caspian's heart, she always smiled and said the same thing. "I did not change him. I just loved him enough that he felt safe changing himself. And that made all the difference." Let me ask you something important. If you have ever felt like you were not enough for someone, but then found the courage to walk away and demand better, drop a comment. Because that is real strength. Now, if you love this story, I need to tell you something. The next one I have prepared for you is even more emotionally twisted than this. More passion. More betrayal. More of that gut-wrenching, soul-shattering romance that makes you feel alive. You see it on your screen right now. That next video. Click it. Trust me. You will not regret it. And before you go, I need to be honest with you. I pour my heart into every single one of these stories. I stay up late writing, editing, making sure every word hits the way it should. And if you have watched all the way to the end, that tells me you connected with this story. So do not break my heart now. Hit that subscribe button. It takes you 1 second, but it means the entire world to me. Join this family. Join the fastest growing vampire romance community on YouTube. We are building something beautiful here, and I want you to be part of it. Drop a comment telling me where you are watching from. What moment hit you the hardest? Whether you are team forgiveness or team make him suffer longer. I read every single comment, and your words keep me going. 1 click. That is all I am asking. Subscribe. Be part of this journey. Because the next story is waiting, and you are not going to want to miss it. I will see you there.